welcome to a new Harry's Farm video, and we're now very close to harvest. We almost went this weekend. Today's I think it's the 19th, is it, of July, but it poured with rain last night. Completely surprised how much rain we had. I think we had 12 mil of rain last night, but yesterday I was just getting the combine sort of ready, so it's been serviced. You saw it being serviced, and the next job is sort of just going through the knife. The first crop we'll be in is linseed, and you want the sharpest blades we can get, so these are the sharp ones. These are old, you can sort of see, so I need to replace that one there, being typically I've just done the easy ones and see if my son might change the trickier ones, because if I put the knife in this position I can just take a blade, but those ones are just trickier. You have to take this off as well and things like that. So there's a few more of those to be done. I've done quite a few because the first crop is linseed, and a linseed wants absolutely perfect knife to sort of cut properly. Other things we've been doing, grain sheds, they've all been sort of cleaned out, hoovered out and sprayed and things, getting the trailers ready and that sort of thing. So anyway, let's go up to the field and I'll show you what we're going to do. The first crop we're going to cut with a combine, probably tomorrow, I hope. So while we're on the way up, this wheat here is amazing. This is the stuff we drilled in February. I'd written this field off basically. The plus side of all that rain in June is it sparked it into life, and there is actually a crop there to harvest. There was a point where I didn't think there was going to be a crop, but yeah, remarkable change. It's had typically been a farm, the weather hasn't been perfect, and there is an issue which I will show you in some wheat up here. Right, well here's the linseed that we desiccated this a couple of weeks ago. Let's go and have a look. I'm just looking, we're just coming here, I'm trying to work out what this track is. I think this is deer here, but we're quite infamous in this area because there's Cotswold Wildlife Park quite close by. I mean, we had something called the Beast of Burford, which was a black panther on the loose around this thing, and we're always thinking, I wonder if it'll reappear. Just wondering if that almost looks like a padded foot. I don't know. Anyway, it's all good. Keeps the conversation lively in the pub. We mentioned the Beast of Burford again. But this is the linseed that we have desiccated. I think it's nearly 2 weeks ago. It was ready just about this weekend. It caught me slightly by surprise because it's a near perfect desiccation. It was a roundup we put on it. What you want to see from a combine point of view is actually this brown consistency all the way across, and this is absolutely ready to combine now. It's a bit short and I'd like it a bit thicker, but the trouble with linseed, it's the stalks are so tough, and that's why I've got to sharpen the knife right up. But you can sort of see the seed. The combine does a much better job of this than me, but if I just do that, you can sort of see the linseed there. That's what we're after. It all looks the right colour, and yeah, I think we'll be in here tomorrow just doing a bit of setup and seeing how it runs. We probably won't start to about 4 o'clock. You really need sunshine to go through linseed. It's the toughness of the stalks. It's sisal, so it's, you know, what they used to make rope out of. So you want a good knife to go through those fibres there, otherwise it just wraps up on the combine and makes a complete mess. It can be a bit of a nightmare, but if you get it right, the sun shining, you can fly through it. But I want to show you the wheat over here. This is the wheat we drilled in February, and while it looks all right from the car, and it's a lot better than it did look, it is ridiculously short. If you look down here, this is the wheat plant. I would imagine that normal year is about there. That was the effect of the drought in March, April, May. Completely knocked it for 6. But a wheat plant does everything it can to produce seed. So okay, it didn't tiller out, but these are actually quite big ears now, and you can see the grain forming in there. You can see that there's pretty plump grains going to come out of this. We just don't know what it's going to be like come harvest time, but the wheat plant is doing its best. really plump grains after all that rain. There's no excuse for not for grain fill, although in my experience the best yields come where you have sunshine. As long as you have sunshine, lots of photosynthesis, that actually gives you yield and adequate water. So if it rained all the time and was cloudy, you don't really get a lot of yield, you just get a lot of green growth. But what's happening now is this dear wheat plant has decided, oh, there might be a chance of putting a tiller out after all. So this is called secondary tillering. It's all a bit of a nightmare because you get a completely variable crop. This won't be ready to harvest. I mean, it's not much of an ear coming out anyway. That is a sort of another stage from the wheat that is in ear now, and this will be ready a few weeks later. So when you come to combine it, you've got this mix of variable ripeness. Anyway, it's always a challenge. This season has been the most crazy challenge. And the other effect of all this rain, if you look at here, I'm embarrassed by the number of weeds. Just if you look, just weed city, and it's all because of the moisture of the ground. Any weed seed that was in the ground is now growing. So what we're going to have to do is use Roundup again to even out this crop. Otherwise you're going to be in a complete mess at combining. It'll block the combine up with this amount of green in it. So we'll decide when the majority of the ears are near mature, and then we'll round up it at that point. You can see those, that's not far, you know, that's only about 3 weeks away, I would suggest, from that stage. And then it will be a chance of combining, and we can put 2020 harvest to bed, because it hasn't been a lot of fun. Right, I'm now going to take you down another little farm just to show you another crop we've got on the go. Wondering why we're going around in this. This is the new Aston DBX. I'm actually doing it for my other channel, Harry's Garage, and I can't tell you anything about it because it's all under embargo driving impressions till the 10th of August. But what I wanted to show you is this cover crop in here. And this is really, it's done pretty well, because when we put it in, it was in near perfect conditions. It just sprouted, and then the drought hit. But it has, what I like is a consistent cover over the field. It's done as best a job as it could have done, and now it's the next stage. So some of it is podding. I'm just going to let it grow up a little bit more. Again, because of the rain, all this rain in June, everything has grown out here, and I don't want the weed seeds to put any seed down. So we'll be coming in here again with Roundup. Some of you seem to get really upset about the use of Roundup, but it's such an important management tool in European agriculture. The modern farming would really struggle without it. It's a very effective chemical if treated correctly. It's £2-3 an acre. If I was to put a herbicide that was targeted on particular weeds, you can be spending £15-20 an acre. So it's a very useful tool. We will come in here, round up it, leave it a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and then I'll start cultivating this up and get what is known as a stale seed bed, because this field will go back into wheat. It's basically been rested a year, so I'm not going to have a break crop. I'm basically treating this mustard as the break crop for this field. What we got with the mustard, I don't know if I can see, it should be a lot bigger than this, but I've just seen there's tiny little pods. It just didn't. It's just had a hopeless growing season with that droughted start. But I don't know. It's done. It's a green cover. We'll reincorporate into the soil, and that will give it, a little bit of structure, a little bit of goodness, give the worms something to chomp on. And the other thing I think there was a sort of challenge on was the sort of income on farm incomes. I think it was quite a shock that it wasn't a license to print money, shall we say, arable farming at the moment in the UK. And I dug out a chart which sort of shows the income, with a turnover on UK arable farms, and then the income. And it's a tiny little bit of blue, and it was okay in the 90s. In the noughties, it just disappeared. Grain prices came right down. It was sort of when I was launching Evo, and the mid to late 90s, basically the farm was supporting Evo magazine, and then we got to the noughties, and suddenly the magazine was then supporting the farm. And farming in the UK has often been like that, and it's why you're so keen to diversify as much as you can. It's why some farmers sort of launch Car Magazine or do YouTube channels like this. It's just an added income stream, so you're not beholden to whatever the weather chucks at you, and you have a bit of an off season like we're having in 2020. You'll see up in the hills, etc., they're all doing the bed and breakfast, and they haven't got quite as many opportunities with doing other things if you're in more challenging areas of the UK, but very beautiful. Tourism is the key for them, and I really hope after the coronavirus and the fact that people will go and use those B&Bs and the staycations, because my goodness, those sort of farmers up in those hills, they desperately need a regular income like that. Because what gets you about farming, something I've learnt, is it's so unreliable. And you do it. The nice thing about a regular income of doing B&B or whatever it is, campsites, etc., is it's something that keeps you going on a month-to-month basis. Farming, I still don't know. I will be putting the combine, as I say, into the fields, start harvest. I could be plus or minus £20,000. I have no idea. It's sort of part of the fun of farming. But when you have a duff year, then you're in a duff year for about 8 months of that month, and then you've got to wait another 12 months before you have another harvest, and you hope that one's all right. So it's this internal optimism that, next year it's going to be a good year next year. And that's why it's so important to diversify on UK farms, and that's what many people do. We do a bit of rental, we have cottages we rent out, that sort of thing. That's how you survive as a UK farmer. And I'm very lucky because I'm a landowner, and you're basically managing that patch to your best of your ability, and growing a crop or managing the grass is utilising that land. It sort of keeps it ticking over, and then every now and then there's something else gives the main income or whatever. As a landowner, there is a potential development or something. Nothing. I'm absolutely not interested in doing it. But that is an opportunity you have as a landowner. But basically, the land, you grow the crops, it's a challenge, you sort of enjoy it, but it's not to make your fortune from. So there you go, a bit more background on UK farming. Hopefully next week there's a nice surprise. We'll put the combine in the fields and we'll have a nice surprise. Anyway, so you'll see me. If you enjoyed this video, there'll be some more videos coming along very soon.